What happens when live television's sharpest tongue goes head-to-head with country music's most unshakable queen? On The View, Joy Behar expected an easy chat, a few laughs, a little banter, another headline to stir the crowd. But when Reba McEntire took that seat, the air shifted. One smirk turned into a spark, one question became a challenge, and in seconds, America watched polite conversation erupt into a full-blown showdown. And by the end, only one woman walked away with her dignity. The lights inside the View studio burned bright, the kind that made every expression impossible to hide. Whoopi Goldberg sat in the center, steady as ever, ready to play referee if things got heated. To her left was Sunny Host, calm and polished. On the far end, Alyssa Farrah Griffin smiled politely, keeping her notes close. And right beside Whoopi, front and center, was Joy Behar, the sharp-tongued veteran who'd built a career on cutting through pleasantries. Then came the applause. The stage door opened and Reba McEntire stepped out. Country music royalty in heels and confidence. The red hair shimmered under the lights. Her black blazer gleamed against the backdrop of the show's signature blue set. She smiled warmly as the audience cheered, but behind that grace was someone who'd seen it all. The small stages, the heartbreaks, the decades of fighting to be taken seriously in a business that never played fair. Joy clapped, but her grin didn't quite reach her eyes. "Ladies and gentlemen," Whoopi announced, "please welcome the one and only Reba McEntire." Reba took her seat, crossing one leg over the other. "Thanks for having me, y'all," she said, voice smooth and easy. The room relaxed. For a moment, it felt like this would be another charming celebrity interview, but Joy Behar was already leaning forward. She had that look, half smile, half challenge, the kind of look that said she was about to test just how far she could push her guest. "So, Reba," Joy began, her tone casual but loaded, "you've been in this business for decades. You've seen it all. What do you make of these new TikTok singers out there pretending to be artists?" The word pretending hit like a slap. Even Whoopi raised an eyebrow. Alyssa looked down at her notes. Sunny shifted in her chair. They'd all heard that tone before. Joy wasn't asking a question. She was laying bait. Reba's smile didn't fade, but her eyes sharpened. "Pretendin'?" she echoed softly, the drawl in her voice stretching the word until it sounded dangerous. "I think they're creating, Joy, just in a new way." Joy laughed, short and clipped, the kind of laugh people use when they don't respect the answer. "Oh, come on. Anyone with a phone can call themselves a musician these days," she said, waving a hand. Reba didn't move. "Anyone with a phone can share their voice," she replied evenly. "That doesn't make them less of an artist." The air in the studio shifted. What had started as polite conversation now felt like the first spark of a storm. Joy's smirk grew tighter. Reba's expression stayed still, controlled, calm, but with a flicker of heat behind her eyes. Whoopi's head turned slightly, reading the tension like a barometer before a hurricane. Sunny glanced toward the producers. Alyssa bit her lip, knowing what was coming. Joy leaned back, pretending to stay light. "Well," she said, "I guess we'll see how long this new talent lasts before it fades away like every other social media trend." Reba smiled again, but this time there was steel in it. "Maybe," she said quietly, "or maybe they'll outlast the people who underestimate them." The words landed like a challenge. For a split second, Joy blinked, caught off guard. Then that half smile returned, sharper now, like a blade polished before a duel. The air inside the View studio now felt electric. Can see it in the way Whoopi's hands tightened on her cue cards, in the way Sunny stopped shifting in her chair, and in the way Joy Behar's smile curved just a little too sharply. Joy leaned back in her chair, lips curling into that smirk that always came right before she attacked. "Back in your day," she said, voice soaked in sarcasm, "you needed talent, not filters and ring lights." A few nervous laughs broke from the audience, the kind that vanish as fast as they appear. Reba's head tilted. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes said everything. "There it is," she smiled, slow, sharp. "Funny," Reba said softly, coming from someone who's made a career talking over people who actually have talent. The crowd let out a low, collective gasp. Whoopi froze. Sonny's eyebrows shot up. Alyssa looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. Joy blinked, caught off guard, but forced to laugh. "Oh, honey, I don't need a guitar to recognize a gimmick when I see one." Reba leaned in just slightly, her southern charm slipping into something cooler, harder. "And I don't need a talk show to recognize insecurity when I hear it." Joy's laugh died mid-breath. The smile stayed, but her eyes hardened. "Careful, Reba. You sound a little touchy. Maybe those TikTok kids hit a nerve." Reba chuckled, low, unbothered, dangerous. "Sweetheart, the only thing that hits my nerves is hypocrisy. You sit here preaching about talent when the only instrument you've mastered is a microphone." Snort. Joy's lips parted. "Excuse me? You heard me," Reba said, her voice steady as a blade. "I've sung in dive bars, slept in cars, and clawed my way up one song at a time. You've spent 20 years throwing shade at people you'll never understand. So maybe, just maybe, you're not the authority on real work." The audience murmured, caught between shock and thrill. This wasn't a segment anymore. It was a reckoning. Joy tried to laugh again, but her voice cracked under the pressure. "Well, at least I didn't need auto-tune to make a living." Reba smiled, slow and dangerous. "Oh, bless your heart," she said. "That's adorable. Still swinging when you're out of your league." Joy's nostrils flared. "Out of my league? Please, I've been holding my own against politicians and celebrities for decades." "Yeah," Reba said, her tone turning icy. "And somehow none of them ever taught you the difference between confidence and cruelty." The words hit harder than any shout could. Joy's face stiffened. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback ready. Reba didn't blink. She sat there, calm, composed, lethal. "You call it honesty," she added quietly. "I call it cheap applause on a daytime show." The studio was dead silent. Even the producers had stopped whispering in headsets. Joy waved her hand like she was brushing off a bad song on the radio. "Please," she said, laughing under her breath. "Lip-syncing kids aren't artists. They're noise." The words hit hard, sharper than she realized. The audience gave a nervous chuckle, unsure if they should laugh or look away. Reba's smile vanished completely. She leaned forward just an inch, her voice dropping low enough to make everyone on set lean in. "Careful, Joy," she said slowly. "Mocking art says more about you than it does about them." Joy's eyebrow arched, that trademark smirk crawling back across her face. "Then maybe," she said, "I'm just the only one honest enough to say it." That was it, the line that cracked the calm wide open. Reba's chair creaked as she straightened, her eyes locking on Joy like a storm zeroing in on landfall. "Honest," she said, her tone razor sharp. "There's a difference between honest and hateful. You might want to learn it before you start confusing the two." Joy tilted her head, still trying to sound amused, but her voice was thinner now. "Oh, come on, Reba. You're not seriously defending kids who sing into their phones and call it art, are you?" Reba didn't look away. "I'm defending people who actually try." She leaned closer, her accent deepening, steady and dangerous. "You can mock a microphone all you want, Joy, but at least they're brave enough to pick one up." The words landed like a slap, not shouted, not angry, but surgical. Joy tried to laugh it off. "Oh, you've got a feisty side, huh?" Reba's lips curved just slightly. "Darling, this is the calm side." That's when the air shifted. You could feel it in the silence that followed, the kind of silence before thunder breaks, before the crowd gasps, before someone says something they can't take back. Joy glanced toward the camera, searching for control, but Reba never moved. Her eyes stayed fixed, steady, unflinching. The tension was now thick enough to choke on. The smiles were gone. The small talk had burned away. It wasn't a TV segment anymore. It was a trial by fire, and Reba McEntire had just been sworn in as her own defense. Joy crossed her arms, chin high, refusing to back down. "What do you think, Reba? These kids don't pay their dues. They post a few videos, get 1 million likes, and suddenly they think they're legends." Reba's voice dropped, slow and steady. like thunder rolling in from the distance. "You want to talk about paying dues, Joy?" Her tone was soft, but it wasn't gentle. She leaned forward, eyes locked on Joy. "When I was 16, I sang in bars where drunks threw beer bottles instead of roses. I made $20 a night on a good night. I slept in cars between gigs, sang until I couldn't speak, and kept going because quitting wasn't an option." Joy shifted, the defiance starting to crack. Reba didn't stop. "I buried 8 of my bandmates after a plane crash," she said quietly, then walked back on stage 3 months later because people who bought tickets still deserved a show. Every syllable hit like a hammer, slow, deliberate, undeniable. Reba's eyes didn't waver. "So don't you dare lecture me about what it takes to earn your place." The room went dead still. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Joy swallowed hard, the sound almost